I like the way this feel, yeah. Let my soul cry, yeah, yeah, yeah. Minister, we gonna speak from the heart on this one. I'm performing lyrical funerals, no obituary. I killed your boy and brought him back to life, pet cemetery. My anointing not based on attendance at a seminary. Scarlet witches, they attracted to the visionary. Everywhere I go, I bring the word with me, missionary. Soldiers drafted in the war machine, military. Pay attention, what I'm saying to you, legendary. You got the demeanor of a front desk secretary. That mean you take the calls, but you don't make the calls. That's why you hate, cause ain't nothing fake about me at all. Now I dare you try to say that with a straight face. My delivery in tip-top great shape. I'm too advanced for you, light years, space age. No evolution for you cavemen, stone age. I'm a thoroughbred, rock solid. I came from the bottom to the top, rock climbing. I grew up in the hood, pros and cons. That's that full court pressure when the ambulance roll out the stretch. Why can't you see it's not logical? If you live diabolical, boy, your point of view smaller than the hair follicle molecule. This for all of them that follow you, smoking all of them barbecue. When I pull up, your voice on correct itself with no auto-tune. I got a whole nother level that I can enter whenever I gotta deal with the devil. I pick a whole nother method. I hear a whole lot of yapping. They wanna see my reaction. I'm really out here in the community making it happen. I don't really think they understand the dilemma. They ain't looking at the man in the mirror. Can't say it in the clearer. The plan is very simple. It's time to start playing in the temple. Before somebody come and put the can on your temple. Reaching like a baby with his hand for the nipple. The Grand Reaper coming with his hand on the circle. In the van coming with a ram with it. With the van coming get him. I am so glad that I changed up. Made it out of where I came from. Watch for the slide and the hook of the slow ball, fastball, and that change up. That ghetto lifestyle, it changed us. Go back to visit, it ain't changed much. Only difference is now the way that my brain process information. And Satan, been after my license day one. Let me say something. Only reason that I'm still alive today because God's grace is amazing. Just another raisin in the sun. Dream deferred when things occurred. Now you getting served right on the curb like a lemonade stand. I just gave you the benediction, let the whole church say amen.
What up, Ngozi? What's up, man? Listen, bro, I want the world to know I created Team Osiris. And, you know, I know you guys go backwards and forth. That's fine. I don't think, I know for a fact that Chris Harris, I don't know what's going on, but Chris Harris was not shooting at y'all for y'all to make the video. And my thing is that every time somebody disagrees with the Hebrew faith, it's a video being made. And I'm just speaking like up front. My whole thing is this. You know, even with me, like I promote evolution. Y'all don't believe in evolution, or y'all do believe in your own way. I'm not shooting at y'all every time y'all have a disagreement with not coming from great apes or none of that. I don't agree that haplogroup E, even though we do know that they're the predecessors of Proto-Afro-Asiatic and they did play a role in the Jewish faith. I don't believe that all the ancient Hebrews was E. I don't believe that. And I'm not running around here saying that. I don't believe that your particular marker of Orthodox Moor, which is very old, is Natufian-like, because your marker is even older than theirs. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to go there. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, just because somebody make a video, you know, or say something, why is it always a battle when it shouldn't be? It shouldn't be at all.
Ngozi, your guys are making it the battle.
Well, I'm saying, but what do you think about? I'm saying, but what did Chris Harris say about you directly? They're not even thinking about you, bro.
It's not direct. It's not a direct. We already had a discussion about this last year. I tried to get him to debate on something he said, and he ran. See,
okay, I'm gonna get look. I'm gonna get him to debate you. I promise to you.
Got you.
Give me the subject and I'll get him to do it.
Got you. It goes. Listen to what I just said. We've already had conversations in the past with Ngozi, with what's your other brother name? Kansu, with Melvin. I've tried debating these guys on this. They're making these pot shots and incorrectly speaking about the Luso-Africans, saying in one breath they're converts, in another breath, oh, they had sex with African women. Well, if they had sex with African women, they had a progeny, and that progeny will be descendants of those Sephardim, right? This is hypocrisy, bro.
So let me ask you a question. So let me ask you a question. We all know that they had sex with them and reproduced with them, but all the motherfucking Sephardic Jews wasn't E. Y'all know that. Y'all smart as fuck.
It goes.
Y'all know this, bro.
Rewind the video. I said Sephardim are heterogeneous. They have R, they have J, I have E, they have E. I've said that. So look, African Americans are heterogeneous. I don't know this brother that's making these claims. He keeps saying we did this and we did that. How do I know that he's a part of we? I don't know your haplogroup.
Hold on, but listen, Chris Harris is E. He took a DNA test. But let me just say this. What I'm trying to say is that all African Americans, and everybody know in here, are not haplogroup E, right? You know that. Everybody know that, right? So with that being said, but does that not make them not African American anymore? So look, for example, when Rick Kittles is R. If he get pulled over, and we're gonna keep bringing this up, they're not gonna say, "Oh, are you haplogroup R? He's a black man, bro." That haplogroup.
That's because that's what laymen do.
Hold on.
That's what laymen do. You're making my point.
No, but what I'm trying to say is a haplogroup does not determine anybody's ethnicity, or it doesn't determine anybody's race. You have Habesha men who are Ethio-Semitic speaking people with J, E, and T. And I'm gonna let you know like this right now. An Ethiopian will J down on another EM78 or EB32 clade of EM78. He don't give a fuck about that shit. On the Somali, he don't give a fuck about, and even in the Somali, the Kabyle. So what I'm saying is, we, or not we, because I don't do this, but people are holding on to haplogroups like it's a determining factor. And what I'm saying is, in the real world, no one gives a fuck about that shit for real.
That's true. That's true. This is called a bandwagon fallacy. So majority of people don't even know what a haplogroup is. And that's the problem. Hold on. That's the problem, because we're speaking about ancestry. When we're talking about ancestry, the field of science that deals with ancestry is genetics. Genetics tells you who you lineally descend from.
But that's true.
If you are Black American, African American, or your ethnic group. These things are social constructs, not biological.
But that's true. Hold on, but that's true. But listen though, just because you share a common ancestor or a deep paternal ancestry lineage with somebody down the line, yes, that's true. But that don't mean you gotta like them. There's so much dirt on niggas, bro. That niggas done did to one another. You got brothers who don't even fuck with biological first brothers that they know because they brother done did some reckless shit. So what I'm saying is that haplogroup shit can get thrown out the window somewhere down the line. Just because I see a marker with you or a paternal marker with you, don't mean that I fuck with you. And then you know this deep down the line, when it comes to paternal haplogroups, that makes up less than 1% of your DNA, bro. That's a sex chromosome. So what I'm saying is that you may share a deep paternal ancestry lineage with somebody down the line. That does not mean that you have to get along with them. So even if we do all know about, we all haplogroup E, we all descend from the same common ancestor, that don't mean I gotta fuck with you, bro. That does not mean I gotta fuck with you.
That is true. That is true, but that's not the argument. The argument is that we hear on Sonetta, on Garfield, we have nothing to do with these people. Genetics says, hold on, Ngozi, hold on, I'll let you speak. And genetics says otherwise. We do. We share a common ancestor. And these haplogroups were lingering in these areas that we're claiming, along with R, along with J. But if you're going to be disingenuous and say, no, we don't have it, then I got to question, what haplogroup do you have? What background you have? But let me hold on. Let me go. Hold on. And also, I want to talk about autosomes. How do you get autosomes? If I come into a foreign land and I fuck all the women and have children, my children are going to pick up those autosomes.
Absolutely. Let me just say this. That's true. But listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't take a lot of, with like 23andMe, that shit only go back a few generations autosomally. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take a lot of generations for autosomal DNA to kick in. But when it comes to your deep paternal ancestry lineage, yeah, that lasts longer. You know that Y chromosome, the paternal marker doesn't recombine, so it has a consistency in a longer range. But let me just say this though: at the end of the day, again, haplogroups only make up less than 1% of your DNA. So yeah, you may not care about autosomal DNA. That's fine. That's you. But what I'm trying to say is that everybody not running around caring about that. They're not. And what I'm saying is that, you know, I don't think when Chris Harris, I was supposed to get on the show. My phone wouldn't let me get on the show because they wanted me to get on there to talk about DNA. And I was going to say how haplogroup E played a role in a lot of stuff, including ancient Egypt, including in the Semitic Jewish ties, all that. But my phone wouldn't work. They don't know genetics, yo. They don't know it. So when they try to talk about it, I try to, you know, be the easier guy to explain what's going on. So I know for a fact that they don't understand the genetics, but they do understand their lineage of history. So we all try to put it together, but everybody is not going to agree that they are Hebrews directly. But I was going to get on there and talk about haplogroup E and how some clades of haplogroup E played a role or was the progenitor of the ideal model of the Hebrew faith. No one can denounce that because we see Ashkenazis and Sephardians and other groups of Jews with this haplogroup E lineage, but we also see with other lineages. So I was gonna explain that. And when Orthodox Moors speak, he talks about his marker. You're not a Natufian, bro. You're older than a Natufian. You're EM33. You're not a Natufian.
Never claimed Natufian.
No.
Hold on. He is not older. Hold on. He is not older than a Natufian. I know what you're trying to say, but all people are the same age. You know what I'm saying? We all.
Listen. Of course, all Homo sapiens are the same age. I'm talking about according to information when it comes to genetics, bro. His marker. You listen. Even R is the same age as us. They Homo sapien. We all the same age. But I'm talking about according to his specific clade of E. His shit is not E1. Let me just say this. He's not E1B1 at all. He doesn't split from EP177 at all. He does not. So
I get it. I get what you're saying.
So let me just say what I'm saying, bro. What I'm saying is that because he is not part, and I can get petty like this, just like everybody else could. I got respect for Orthodox more, but just like you like to critique everything directly and base things off, like that's what you do.
So you said my name 3 times, Ngozi, so I'm gonna speak when you're done. You're not gonna interrupt me. Okay?
Yes. No, I'm not going to interrupt you, but you also heard my name in your video a few times, so I get the chance to speak to you, and I'm speaking to you now.
The last time I said your name, you were in my, the last time I spoke your name in the video, you were on the video.
I asked you to, I gave you my number. I said, hit me up. Mm-hmm. I was trying to, I want to, and you said some shit, but what I'm saying is that your clade, EM33, is not a split from EP177 or EP147 to EP177 to EP2 to E1B1, anything. So with that being said,
is my clade in West Africa or no?
Hell yeah, your clade in West Africa. That shit was in West Africa.
Is my clade in East Africa?
It's small. It's small in East Africa.
Is it in North Africa?
It's small, very small in North Africa, but it's there. That's a fact.
So what's the point of your conversation right now? Because I have no idea what you're saying.
What I'm stating is you just said something about the Natufians did. The Natufian, bro. But first of all, bro, listen. You just said something about Natufians bringing culture or whatever down.
When did I say we?
Bro, you just said we. You said the haplogroup E as if we, like you're part of that.
Hold on, is E in 132 is not haplogroup E?
Bro, I'm not saying that, bro. You said
you just talking because you're getting lips right now. You know what the fuck you said. No, I'm not falling back. You just said we as if you were in the Natufian. No. You're talking now. You always talk nonsense. You just said we as if you were in the Natufian. What did I say that was factually incorrect? Hey, hold on, listen. Yashu, when you play this shit back, I promise to God, this man said. What did I say that was factually incorrect? Ngozi.
What you mean was factually incorrect? Oh, one thing that you said was incorrect is you brag on E being an invader and like that's some cool shit to be an invader. What the fuck wrong with you, bro? You want to be an invader?
How about you take 2 seconds? How about you take a deep breath?
No. I'm asking you, do you want to be an invader? You think that's cool? Hold on, Yashu. Let me just ask this brother a question. So, do you think it's cool to be an invader and colonize people? You think that's cool? Just because Just because E dominated some Forbes people, E dominated some Forbes people.
It's simple. No, hold on.
Hold on. Everybody, I'm putting everybody in the back real quick. Everybody, chill out. Let's reset. Let's reset. Ngozi, go in the back. All right, I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm gonna bring y'all back up. Ngozi, his argument, he never said it was cool or anything. If anything, you could say I was, but I wasn't saying it was cool. I'm just saying if you're gonna get mad at Europeans for being invasive and intrusive, we E-markers have that same history in Africa and other places. That's all. That's all that was said. Orthodox Moore never said it was cool. He never endorsed it. I just speak frankly. We went down there, we cracked people's heads open, took their women and took their land. Historically, what I'm saying is true. That's all I said. Orthodox Moore never praised that or said that he endorsed it. That's all I want to bring out. I'm going to bring y'all brothers up here. Be respectful. Share the mic. Share the floor. More, let Ngozi speak, and then when he's finished, you can speak. All right?
Listen, bro, what I'm trying to say is I don't even know how much proof that is that E did all that. Yes, E dominated those areas before as cracking heads and all that, bro. I don't even think that's cool. And if they did, they deserve every fucking thing that happened to them. And this is bigger than biblical text. And what I'm trying to say is that there are people with haplogroup E who do live in mud huts. You can go all into South Africa, or they do primitive shit. You have people with haplogroup E in Tanzania that eats albinos. So what I'm trying to say, everybody with haplogroup E ain't walking around here advanced, bro. That's silly. Even the Adam and Eve people with haplogroup D, who's also, they're not all that advanced. They don't do a lot of shit that other groups of people did. So this is what I'm saying. Everybody with a specific marker does not mean that you're advanced. I know niggas in the hood that ain't as educated as me, and they do dumbass shit, and they're haplogroup E. Some of them even maybe are. So what I'm saying is a haplogroup does not determine intelligence, because you have some stupid ass people with haplogroup E that's doing dumbass shit, bro. Like the niggas that's eating albinos, or some of those niggas that do still live in mud huts. Everybody with haplogroup E ain't walking around here advanced. You even got some idiot, you even got neurotic people with haplogroup E3B that's not doing what Natufians did. Walking around letting cows piss in their fucking head. All them Nilo saying A and B. Look it up. Some of these niggas is E3B, EM78, and they letting cows piss in their fucking head, yo. So what I'm saying is that a lot of the Maasai people are neurotic, but they have a high level of E3B. So what I'm trying to say is that E does not make you, it doesn't make you intelligent because you have a so-called marker, bro. I'm just being realistic about things. That's all. I'm trying to bring reality about things. I know idiots with haplogroup E1B1A. They're stupid as fuck. They're not advanced at all. And they do dumbass shit in there right here in America, bro. Right here in America. That's all I'm trying to say, yo.
All right. Let me respond real quick. Hold on. Let me respond to what he said about E not living in mud huts. No one's saying that E doesn't live in mud huts, but there was once upon a time, because we're talking historically, that haplogroup E were the ones that were agrarian, or the ones that were introducing stone edifices, that were introducing metallurgy, introducing different Asian material culture, glass beads, pyrotechnology, right? The bulk are associated with that historically. A and B historically are associated with foraging for the most part. That's not saying everybody with A and B do that, but for the most part, historically. And what we see a lot of these E groups doing today is because of the decline of culture, not because they were always doing that. That was my point I made in the video. It goes.
Okay, but let me just say this, though. I do know the Tupians. When you study the Tupians, I have an anthropologist student that's in Israel right now, and this is where I get a lot of my information from. Them niggas wasn't all that advanced either. They were farmers. They was coming from a hunter-gatherer phase to farming, but when they came to them going to that further Near East, it's pre-probably Neolithic B group, and they started mingling with niggas with tea and all that shit, that's when they started to switch up and get a little bit more advanced. So what I'm trying to say is that, the Tupians were dope. They were advanced, but when you really study them, they have sites where these niggas were starving to death. They were starving to death because they didn't even know how to deal with the ranges of what was going on in the eco zones in certain areas. So the Tufians were advanced, but they wasn't advanced when it came to going in the further Near East, where they picked up some other things from other people, particularly T and IJK and all them other markers that was in that Near Eastern area, or even G. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes was doing a lot of advanced shit. So what I'm saying is that again, I don't want to base, this is me. This is my argument. I don't want to base, and some E's were very advanced. All of them wasn't. I don't want to base for me haplogroups off intelligence. Y'all got y'all own thing going, that's fine. I don't do that because I live in today's time and I see people with markers that's dumb as fuck that probably got the same marker as me. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm trying to say, bro.
But in Ngozi, no one never said that just because you had a marker.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Nobody ever said that.
What we're saying is that our ancestors with these markers are known for sowing the seeds of civilization. No one can take that from us. And that is not attributed to A and B. It just isn't historically. There's no David Reich isn't writing papers about it. There's no geneticist that's going to say, hey, we tie these things like metallurgy, agrarian culture to A and B. They're not going to say that by and large. When we're talking about the bulk of people, you know, as well as I know, E markers had a lot to do with that, going back from the Levant into the North Africa, had a lot of sowing the seeds of civilization. That's all we're saying.
My argument is E came through the North Africa, went to the Levant, and from North Africa went into multiple directions. I agree with you on that. But let me just say this though: you also have A amongst those Yemeni Jews. So what I mean is that even though A and sometimes they were just hunter gatherers or they were just farmers. I mean not farmers. I'm sorry, hunter gatherers. Foragers, and they were just hunter-gatherers. They knew how to deal with hunting, like the Khoisan do to this day. They knew the mathematics of dealing with hunting, and they had a specific, beautiful methodology when it came to hunting skill, the Khoisan today. A lot of them farmer niggas couldn't even do it. To be honest with you, agriculture, is responsible for the poor, fucked up diets that human beings have today. I mean, a lot of people shouldn't eat a lot of grains and barley. It's not good for you. The hunter-gatherer diet that they call a Paleolithic diet is one of the best diets in the world. So what I'm trying to say is that I understand where you're coming from when it comes to advancements and all that. Yeah, we brought certain technology, but also those people also had skills when it came to hunting. I have to give them that credit as human beings, as Homo sapiens sapiens. And we also have age that drifted off with us, that learned certain methods with us. And as they drifted off with us, there's some of these people going to the Levant. Every Nubian in 700 BC that conquered Syria wasn't walking around with haplogroup E because them niggas had a lot of nilotic ties, even though they were highly, a proto-Bija people, Afro-Asiatic, but they had a lot of biological nilotic ties with them. So a lot of those A's got swooped up amongst those people. So they learned and they caught on, just like you find the nilotics that picked up pastoralism from haplogroup E. You feel what I'm saying? They learned and they caught on. Your cognitive respondents on how you receive information and data and able to deliver it back is what determines intelligence, the ability to, not a haplogroup. That's just what I'm trying to say. You have Yemenis Jews with haplogroup A. You have B all the way in fucking all the way over there near Kazakhstan. Those dudes drifted off over there. And they're pretty advanced. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But I do agree with you that we did bring certain technology from North Africa and the ties that we had through the Levant, which was a corridor going backwards and forward. But at the end of the day, those people south also had certain things that they were able to do that they were skillful in. And we merged it together. But as far as, invading, I don't know nothing about that. Yes, I'm sure we did attack pygmies because that's true. We reproduced with them. But I don't know how friendly it was or how violent it was. And I wouldn't compare myself to the Northwestern European that transports human beings from one place to the other, the human trafficking that they did and exaggerated and dominated the world. E ain't did no shit like that. R1B put his foot in everybody's ass, from the indigenous people of the Americas to the people in ancient Europe to the people in the Middle East. Them niggas, they slaughter game way more destructive and sick than what a haplogroup E has done. Or even though J-marking niggas, and they still doing shit, enslaving people. And you can't even say fully with the Arabs because you got some haplogroup E niggas that Arabs is doing the same shit with those people. But when it comes to that's all I want to say. I'm just listening in, bro. But I'm just here to say that I will get Brother Chris, if you guys want to have a debate, you guys can have that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know genetics, and they'll tell you that. And I was getting ready to get on the show, but I couldn't get on there to talk about how haplogroup E did play a role in the Jewish faith, or clades of it did play a role in the Jewish faith. It was the forefather of Proto-Afro-Asiatic. You know what I'm saying? So,
which could be 32,000 years old, by the way, which is the beginning of EP2 splitting the E1B1A, E1B1B.
Absolutely. 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 And those people were the progenitors of that language family. I follow Christopher Eric. I follow Roger Blinch. I follow these people when it comes to language family. This is who I follow and a few other people. So I definitely agree that Afroasiatic comes from, we also developed Niger Congo. We developed a whole lot of things. Like for me, Egypt wasn't the forefather of Semitic culture. These niggas was also the forefathers of ancient Egypt. They was also the forefathers of the pre-Mesopotamian, the northern Mesopotamia, the Proto-Ubaid people, not the Sumerians, but the Proto-Ubaid. Yeah, we gave rise to all that shit, the Akkadians, all that shit. Haplogroup E played a role in all that. So it's like this is how great I push my haplogroup because I understand a role. And Orthodox more. I wasn't coming at you like that. I understand. Listen, I actually embrace your marker because your marker is actually old. So when I say like you're not a Natufian, yes, you're Natufian related because you're part of mutation E. I just was assuming that you were saying that you was a Natufian. That's all I'm saying, bro.
All right, so let's let Orthodox Moore get the floor and speak his piece, just like we allowed you to speak your piece, brother. Go ahead, Moore.
So respectfully, no one was making claims about ethnicity based upon haplogroups, etc. Respectfully, the only thing I use haplogroup for is for migration patterns. And respectfully, no one was bragging on being an invader in Ngozi. The concept was the Hebrew culture being called an invading culture to Africa, just like the Islamic culture as a Hebrew culture, right? So right now, we got a lot of family across the world who are Muslim practicing Ramadan right now, right? So Ngozi and I are Muslim, right? And Ngozi and I both have genetic ties to the Fulani people and whatnot, right? The Fulani people en masse are Muslim. Some not. En masse, the people we come from in West Africa are Muslim, right? So their argument is literally, you practice an invader's culture that we don't have any ties to. That's their claim in Ngozi. So I'm going to use language, genetics, archaeology, etc. to break down. No, you know what? I'm literally connected to people who had this practice. I can go back to people in West Africa right now who are Muslim right now, who I'm genetically connected to right now. And I can also go to the history of the thing, right? I can break down how it got there. I'm not going to say haplogroup E did enslave people. No, haplogroup E did a whole bunch of enslavement. East Africa, Arabia, etc. No, whole bunch of enslavement. And they're going to tell you practice a conquering, enslaving religion. And how dare you? And I'm going to return fire and say, how dare you tell me I can't practice the religion of my forefathers, right? And my forefathers didn't sell people in East Africa, didn't sell people in Arabia, etc. That ain't got nothing to do with me. So the argument isn't, no, we're all Natufians. I never said that type of stuff. I get my Natufian ancestry through my mother's side. My maternal grandfather's EM34. In Jed Match, I come up 17% Natufian consistently. But that's through my maternal DNA, right? And my point, like I was saying earlier, is like, okay, my grandfather's maternal is EM34. I'm EM132. They literally overlap all over the place in Africa. Wherever you find EM34, you're gonna find EM132 every time. That's what I use genetics for. It's for migration stuff like that, right? Now, when I look at my grandfather's genetics, right? Again, there's East African in his DNA. There's East African in his DNA. There's Western Asian in his DNA. There's Middle Eastern, etc. Right? Those people made the same migration route. Made the same migration from South Arabia to North Africa to Spain. That also took people from South Arabia to Central Africa to East Africa. That's the whole point of what I'm saying, Ngozi. So what I want to know is about what I'm saying. What have I said that's factually incorrect?
Ramadan Mubarak, Akhi. So let me just say this. So what happened was I came in and I heard, I assumed, I have to go back. I thought you said you were a Natufian. So yes, you do have Natufian ties, especially through, your mother's side. That definitely makes sense. I'm sure that a lot of our Natufian ties biologically comes from layers of our European or Middle Eastern components. Because, the deeper you go in Europe and your European genetics, the deeper you find yourself in Neolithic Europe. And those Neolithic Europeans in Anatolia were partially Natufian. So, that's another story. But yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. And also, and it's a blessing that your grandfather has that paternal marker that they have. But I thought that you came in and said you were a Natufian because I came in because I listened to Genesis 49 shows. I think that what he got is dope. He's holding down haplogroup E. So when I hear something, I come on. So I came in at the last edge, and I heard what I heard.
Autosomally, I do have strong connections to Natufians, right? However, here's what I'm saying, right? Like, so again, they're going to say that you and I practice invading cultures.
Oh yeah, I want to answer that.
Yeah. So real quick. So the point was, if you're going to call Muslims, etc., Israelites, etc., an invading culture, understand that haplogroup E invaded West Africa. If you're going to look at it that way, do you see that as an inconsistent concept? Yes or no?
I mean, yes, it's inconsistent. But let me answer something right quick. For us who practice Islam, right? Islam, it did invade some people, and then some people, when it comes to us in West Africa, it wasn't an invading thing with us in West Africa.
Agreed, 100%.
Right. But when it comes to some people like the Amazigh, when they were fighting them, the Amazigh got their ass whipped by the Muslims. You know that history. But when it comes to us in West Africa, no, we didn't get forced into Islam. But when it comes to Yahudiism or Judaism is a beautiful system. I don't think that there's a history where you find, because Judaism is very old in Africa. It's older than what people think, and in some cases, the remnants of it can't be found because a lot of these people converted to Islam afterwards. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to this, you don't hear any cases of from my studies of this system coming into the continent invading. They get absorbed in or they get added on. Even when you look at the Limba Jews, you don't hear stories about these people crossing through Yemen and enslaving these people. You might hear later on, and what we found out later about the Ashkenazis and the Sephardims helping sponsor slavery. But I'm talking about actual Jews. You don't really. That's not what a Jew actually do. Jews were merchants. They were business people. You know what I'm saying? So they had ties. Just the same way they run this shit today. It's not a forceful thing like what some people would say with Islam. So yeah, I agree with you with that. But you also have traditional African systems that played a role in slavery. Like the people that practice Yoruba, the people that practice the Ashanti system. It's not just an Abrahamic faith.
The Maasai you brought up earlier were heavy into slavery. Yeah.
Yes, the Maasai. So it's not just an Abrahamic. I'm not anti-Abrahamic, and I think that if we're truthful about it, it's not an anti-Abrahamic faith, or they shouldn't be, because it's not a religion thing. You have people that practice their own animistic systems that was responsible for slavery. So
how do you feel about the fact that Team Osiris themselves are basically calling you a seller for practicing Islam?
When it comes to, I have to talk to Brother Chris. I have to listen to the full show, because again, I was supposed to get on that show and I wasn't able to get on. I had to get on. I couldn't get on.
And Ngozi, keep the African and give these invaders their religion back. These are the talking points of your boy Christopher.
But let me just say this though, Brother Yashu. When it comes to the Middle East, especially Israel, I'm a strong lover of the Middle East and Arabia, right? And here's the thing, you know this, and all y'all know this, because you guys study, you guys read, bro. Israel sits on two plate tectonics: North Africa and the Arabian Rift, or the Arabian plate tectonic. They call it the African Syrian Rift, right? Israel is partially part of North Africa. It's a transcontinental country. Even when you talk about the Levant does just not include Syria, Israel, and Palestine. It also includes Egypt. That's part of the Levant as well. So when it comes to Israel, ancient Israel, from the Natufians to the Bronze Age or whatever, it's all beautiful when you really study it. The wars, the peace, everything. And it's also part of North Africa from my studies. And it's also part of its own independent plate tectonic, which is the Arabian plate tectonic. So when it comes to the Middle East, these systems are African to me. So no one can say give up these systems for this system, because the shit has an African, a North African element in it. Would you guys agree with that? Is the forefathers and the predecessors?
You asking the wrong people. Of course, we agree with it. We believe all those people.
Right. That's my thing, man.
I read study after study showing that a lot of those people in the Middle East descend from African fathers and European mothers. I brought studies about the language coming from Africans, the languages they speak come from Africa. I brought these studies out. You asking the wrong people. It's your guys that are saying that these people are invaders, not us.
Exactly.
Have nothing to do with us. It's not us.
And Ngozi, if you say you listen, you know, and I'm sure you do, because every once in a while you pop on, you would know that we understand this, we believe that. This is
No, I just wanted you guys to say it publicly. Yes, I do know this. That's why I asked you, because I know that you guys will say it publicly. And they have to understand this. And I'm trying to say this as well, is that I wouldn't say, me, the founder of Team Osiris, that the Abrahamic faith has anything to do with, yes, they played their role, especially in Islam. It played its role in a lot of destructive things, but it also had a lot of positivity, especially when it comes to us in West Africa. We wasn't forced into it. And even with Christianity, some of the founding fathers of Christianity were Africans. St. Augustus, before the Romans got their hands on it, this was North African. You know, when it comes to, you know, they played a lot of the Christian forefathers or founding fathers before the Romans had their hands on it. North Africans played a role in it. The dude that helped Yahshua or Prophet Esau carry the cross, according if you follow that text, if you believe he was crucified. But what was he? North African? He's Nigerian?
Yeah. Yeah, he was, I think, Ethiopian or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So even when it comes to Tahakra in a biblical text, they call him an angel when he helped them fight against the Syrians. And then even at that point, this is when I believe that a lot of the A inserted into Judaism, because a lot of the Yahuda were going into Elephantine, and they were going back and forth to Sudan a long time. And then according to Islam, and I'm sure my brother, I don't want to take over the show, I just want to say this. I'm sure my brother more knows about this, but according to the Hadith, Prophet Musa, Moshe, that you guys call him, or Moses, was in North Sudan. He was Sudanese.
Yeah,
he was Sudanese. So what I'm saying is that the Yahuda played a major role in Sudan, and a lot of these people were converting. And I believe in 700 BC or 730 BC. A lot of these Nubians who had some melodic people that was part of their military, a lot of these people were going back and forth for a long time. So Ethiopia has a hand in Yahudaism. So I think that people got to really get into the detail of it and study it all for what it really is.
Thank you, and I appreciate what you're doing right now, Ngozi. I see what you're doing, Ngozi. You're in between a couple of groups trying to keep the information straight, and I appreciate that. So real quick. So we would agree, like that the West African Islamic tradition is vastly different than the majority of Islam you're going to see around the world, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
So so that Islamic tradition also records an Israelite tradition in West Africa, etc. We even know, like at some points in time that they were being forced to convert, etc. Certain things or leave in certain areas or whatnot. Would you also expect that Israelite tradition in West Africa to look different than the Israelite traditions you'd see in other places?
I mean, yeah, because a lot of that stuff, it was older. So the way we see it today, it's so old. It's no remnants of it being there. But we do know in Islamic studies, especially when you study Timbuktu, it talks about, you know, in Mali, it talks about people practicing those systems, like some Mandinka people or Mandingo people and other people. So, you know, even Vince Bantu talked about even some of these people practicing Christianity. That's not talked about.
And a lot of people don't understand. It's recorded in West African Islamic texts that there was literally Christianity in West Africa prior to.
Slow down more. So this video we're watching, they said Christianity started with the Portuguese church. Jeez, that's what was said in the video. Hey, so that warrants critique, right? I'm just saying. I'm gonna go mute.
So here's the thing. Christianity is old as well, man. Like it was in the pits of Africa before Islam got there. So it's even in Mandinka, again, and Orthodox more is aware of this. They talked about how Christians were there in ancient Mali. Now the Portuguese gave it to the people in Angola at a certain time, but some West Africans were practicing on their own independently. And I think that we follow that timeline or that chronology that's being presented, that the Portuguese gave it to the people in Angola and Cameroon. But here's the thing: even with the Zinca people, the Zinca king, they converted on their own. It wasn't a forceful thing. It wasn't a forceful thing when it came to the Portuguese and those people in Angola. Can't even say that was given to them by force. I mean, you get what I'm trying to say? The way they got it, the way the Portuguese introduced it to them, they did it on their own.
Hey, man, look, I'm just telling you what was said in the video. This is what your boy just said. Hey, but this is why we do these critique videos, because if we don't, then that goes unchecked, and then Israelites, we just a bunch of frauds, and we don't know shit. That's the perception, and we're showing that this ideology that's being taught here is flawed. Whether you agree or disagree with us, historically, you can't make these claims. You can't say the reason why all of us are Christians, or all of our ancestors was Christians, was because of the advent of the Portuguese church and the Portuguese invading West Africa, because of the facts you just said.
I know, but Vince Bantu, he presented the information. There were Christians in Mali. The Muslims talked about it, and again, Islam. I mean, Christianity. Some of the best, saints were coming out of Africa, especially North Africa, St. Augustus, and a few other ones in Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, all through those areas. And again, the Amazigh had trade ties with the people that was in the Sahel, particularly the Fulani and the early Mandinka elites. These people were trading with these people, so they got a lot of customs and even genes. They were breeding with each other. Has been swapped amongst those people.
And to be clear, like Vince Bantu was talking about, that this connection in Mali, etc., was prior to European contact and whatnot, and that he was also emphasizing an East African connection amongst the same trade routes again, fam. Like I'm talking amongst the Sahel, etc. The Sahel trade route was the central highway of trade in Africa, and whatnot. And you saw Reggie even bringing out the trade routes, right? Them trade routes is very, very real.
Yes.
The slaves go across the routes, yeah, but so did books, so did gold, so did all kind of trading stuff that happened, right? But those are the same routes that got people from East Africa to West Africa.
More, let me ask you a question. Who are the Saniki people?
Fam.
Were they West Africans?
Yes. The Saniki people are related to the Mandinka. They're Mindi people.
Yeah.
Got you. So if they're West Africans, were they involved in selling slaves?
Yeah, they sold.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, if you want to get technical, so Askia Muhammad, the person who in 1492 put out the mandate that they had to either convert or dip, I'm saying, that he was Saniki.
Even the Igbo people sold people. Everybody, that was part of the game. That was like selling dope.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in this video that we shouldn't be trying to attach ourselves to slave traders.
See, and on that note, fam, in that case, we can't come from nobody in West Africa, bro.
Exactly.
And listen, I'm gonna keep it 100, man. West Africa ain't innocent, or Central Africa. They played a role in that shit. Those elites, regardless of their system, it don't matter what belief system they had. They selling people was like selling dope. And I don't want to talk like this because it's Ramadan, because I haven't ate at all. But I'm just saying, like,
so you frustrated? That's why you came on here with all that fire.
He came in with the smoke. Yeah, bro.
Came up here with all that fire, man.
That's why I thought they had a Ramadan bar, like crazy. You know what I'm saying? You had to remind people.
I mean, hold on now. You came up here accusing us. He listens to the show, but he came up here. I think he hungry because he came up here accusing us of stuff we don't do.
No. I caught Orthodox Moore. What I thought I heard Orthodox Moore said, and I just wanted to come on a little bit. And,
it's cool. It's all love, brother. It's all love, bro.
What you heard was a sandwich. That's what you was hearing.
He couldn't hear the full sentence over his stomach rumbling. That's what that was, bro.
I'm starving, wallahi, yo. So I'm just saying, man. But listen, I like what you guys are doing, and I do agree. But I want you guys to know that a lot of the brothers outside of they don't understand the genetics. I was getting ready to present that. From what I understand, Chris Harris wasn't talking about you guys, but I will, if you guys want to debate, or have a debate, I can talk to my brother Chris.
Look, we don't even have to have a debate. Just tell them to come over here like you click the link and we can have a live discussion. We don't even have to do the debate because it seems like debates never come to fruition. So just tell them, set a date. We can come on here and have a live discussion with one another, and we can talk about these talking points. I won't interrupt him. He won't interrupt me. We'll have a moderator, and we can do this thing fairly and down the middle. That's fine.
That's peace. That's peace. Yeah. But I was
about to say, you see how you come up here. You came up here with fire. We allowed you to speak.
Yeah, you guys all know. That's one thing I gotta admit. You guys always let people speak, whether they disagree or not. You guys don't mute people or not. I do admit that. This is a very safe zone. I mean, you guys, I think you guys enjoy this. I think, and I know y'all like it. You know that too, Sean. But let me just say this, man. I just want to say this, and I'm a fold, man. West Africa, these are human beings, and they're not innocent. And even the traditional practitioners, the people that practice their own systems, wasn't innocent. You know, we got to really talk about that. I mean, I think that people should talk about that as a whole. It's not an Abrahamic faith thing. It's a human thing. Selling people is like selling dope. If they can catch you, they give you up. You know, the reason why a lot of, I'm sure everybody in here got Fulani ancestry. Everybody in here. And some of your Fulani ancestors were sold by other groups of people. They were going backwards and forth with other groups of people. You know what I'm saying? That's just what happened.
Right. I want to share this with you because this is going back to my statement to give clarity what I said earlier about mud huts. So this is Ancestral DNA Human Origins by Brain J. Herrera. Right, this book was written by geneticists. And in this book, it talks about material evidence in regards to the Bantus, right? So many people will point out today that Bantus live in mud huts, but that wasn't always the case, right? So that's what I'm going to read to you. It says, today, Bantus are primarily farmers cultivating a variety of cereals and other traditional crops, as well as pastoralists raising a number of domestic animals such as cattle, sheep, and goats. They are known for their iron and copper works. They live in homesteads made up of simple single-room mud and cow dung huts. So people will look at them today and try to project that into their past as if they did this unto perpetuity all the way into their inception in Africa, right? So we keep reading. It says, traditionally, these dwellings were of two types. One was the so-called nguni or beehive style, constructed as a circular room supported by long poles and covered with grass. The second style is a cylindrical type single room made up of poles and covered with mud and dung. The floor of both types is made up of compact soil and the roof of tied up sticks. Yet during the time periods of the Bantu chiefdoms from the 13th to 17th centuries and kingdoms from the 18th to 19th centuries, more complex structures were built. An example of the former includes the Great Zimbabwe, massive walled cities that stand in sharp contrast with the humble mud huts. This is what I was talking about yesterday. And somebody in the comments said, oh, it's not a decline of culture. It is a decline of culture because during these time periods, a lot of these people with this ancestry, they lived in walled cities and had stone edifices and stone buildings. And now we see them in mud huts. That's the point I was bringing out early in Ngozi.
Yeah, Haplogroup E was very technical. I mean, these dudes, again, you know, they were in relations to those people in the Levant. I mean, the Thai, the North African Levantine population, these people had a lot of things that was, you know, transported or imported from one area to the next. A lot of things are not indigenous to sub-Saharan Africa. So yeah, they were very technical. But my thing is that through time, they started doing a lot of things that those other groups of people were doing that was that, you know, that were down there. That's part of their autosomal DNA. You know, they mixed with these women. They started doing a lot of things later. But when it comes to, you know, technology and certain things, yeah, I definitely, yeah, that's a fact. They did a lot of things that was advanced. But when it comes to the certain mud hut, to me, and I like that article. I'm going to have to check that out, Brother Yashu. Mud huts to me was very beneficial at a certain time period, because even when you look at those circular huts that the Natufians made, it wasn't as it was beneficial. Again, if you have a lot of eco changes going on in the ecosystem in your environment, it's actually kind of good to have mud huts because you don't have to hold on to them. It can come and go. It's beneficial to a degree. So I got to look deeper into that article that you're reading to see, you know, what was going on with the mud hut thing. I don't think there's nothing wrong with if they did have mud huts, because even the Natufian huts that they had wasn't made of concrete and none of that stuff. When you look at the huts that they had over there in the Levant.
Right.
Yeah, but the problem comes in when they're trying to stick us, you know, to strictly mud huts, like we did nothing else. This is the arguments we make here.
Thank you.
Right. You know what I'm saying? When you try to relegate it to just that, and that's not factual. Just like, you know, like you said, we do see, you know, all of E can't be Israel. We know that. But we know that he had, you know, dealing with the Abrahamic faiths, you know, it was prevalent. You know, we were prevalent in all of them. You know what I'm saying? So these are all the things we elucidate to the people. This is what we come on here. This is what we do on a regular basis. You know, Yeshua is attacking now is just certain things he's critiquing. He's critiquing Chris's video because there's certain things been said there that needs to be, you know, critiqued.
I feel you, and I feel you, and I'm gonna have to get the brothers to have a dialogue. I mean, if I'm gonna talk to my brother, I'm sure he's willing to do it, to talk to the brother. But I do agree that, you know, we wasn't just dealing with huts, but I'm not anti-mud hut. Mud huts are actually dope, yo. You know what I'm saying? They're dope. You know what I'm saying? And when certain things go on in your environment, you can let that shit go and go build another one. That's creativity. That's beautiful.
Agreed.
Yeah, you know? It's temporal in the design. Like it breaks down as mud, so you can move.
Yeah,
but that was the interesting thing about the Natufians, because you can make the argument they're the first ones that started permanent dwellings. You understand?
They did. The Natufians were very advanced. They just. I'm gonna give you these links to my brother in Israel. I told the Hebrew this before. They went through a lot of droughts and famine and starving. They really became more tactical when they went toward the Near East as a pre-Pioneer Neolithic group. When they went towards Iraq, because you know the pre-Pioneer Neolithic B culture was responsible for building Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Mm-hmm. They wasn't the same people that was in northern Turkey. They built that shit.
Right.
Were you aware of that, bro?
Yeah. I think you brought it up before. James always talks about Göbekli Tepe. Yeah. Yeah,
those were the people, and they were related to the Natufians. So the Natufians, they went east. You know, they really got more. I mean, they had more hands on other materials that wasn't in them.
So we find glass beads from Anatolia in their grave site. So we know they had dealings with what we call Turkey today. We know they were there.
Yes. Did you see the depiction that my brother created, the archaeologist? He sent it to the Max Planck Institute. I mean, we can put it publicly now, but I'm gonna send it to you guys if you guys want to see it.
Yeah, you showed me on Clubhouse. You said not to share it. Remember?
Yeah, he said it's cool now. We got 3 of them now.
Yeah. Put that on the screen or send it to me so I can put it on the screen so people can see what these Natufians look like.
All right. Let me see. I got you. But thanks for letting me come on, man. I'm gonna try to pull it up now as you guys go on. I'm listening in though. But I'm gonna have that conversation with the brother to see if you guys want to make it happen. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I already know what the answer gonna be, but go right ahead.
No. Yeah, I think Chris willing to build with you, yo. Because you guys had dialogue before.
Yeah, all right. We'll see. I'll put it to you like that. We'll see. But as you can see, you come on here and you're able to speak, so you can't use that excuse. You will be able to speak. Garfield even came on here.
Garfield came up here and was able to speak. Yeah, Garfield was able to come up and speak. So, you know,
we don't agree with anything Garfield says. Only few things that we might agree with him. We diametrically opposed to Garfield. He came over here and say what he wanted to say, made little shots at me and everything. I didn't mute him. You know.
Damn, Garfield got on here. Where was this?
We did that 12-hour. Yeah, we did a 12-hour 12-hour live. He jumped on at the end. We couldn't record it because after 10 hours, right? Was it 10 hours, something like that?
Hey, Garfield, we got that clip too. He think he's slick. Gonna wait after the 12-hour limit to jump on. Yeah, we got that clip. You recorded, brother.
So it didn't. Right, it won't be on the video. It won't be on the live. Like if you go back and listen to the live stream, you know, to the video, it won't be there. But we got it.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you, brothers, this. When it comes to the Prophet Ibrahim, right? Coming from, so you guys, do you guys, and I know you guys have been talking about this lately, but I want the audience to really hear the explanation of why some people can speak on the Proto-Semitic in relation to Prophet Ibrahim coming from that eastern part of the northern layers of either Turkey or the northern layers of Iraq. He wouldn't have been affiliated with those Sumerian South, because the Proto-Semitic people, would he have been related to those Proto-Ubaid people somewhere down the line?
Yes, he would not be related to the Gutians or nothing, because during that time the Gutians would have been in Samaria, right? He would not be related to them. He would have, like you said, he would have been more akin to the Ubaid people.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. And this is why the argument that's being presented by you guys is actually dope if people really look into it. If they can follow that northern Mesopotamian route and the southern Turkey route, you can see why that relation of why he could have had a specific marker and why it's a good fight against some of the Ashkenazis. You know, Ashkenazis get real, territorial over the faith, and they want to just embrace it. And they want to, and they're promoting a J, but they're not understanding the importance of E and how much E played a role in those areas, and even inserting their language family into those people. You know.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Could Abraham come from the Caucasus mountain range?
Well, I mean, it depends on what part of the Caucasus.
The Southern Caucasus. The Southern Caucasus. Let's make it easy. Southern Caucasus.
I mean, if he did come from the Southern Caucasus, he was there. Why not?
He said he was there.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? But no. Yeah, and also, we can't overlook that. E played a role in those stuff, bro. E was some dope people, bro. They did their thing over there, even in the Southern Caucasus. But even if he did come from, which he didn't, but let's say he came from Turkey or the northern parts of Mesopotamia, it's still a fighting fact for E. No one can get past that.
Okay, I just wanted clarity on that because we got a couple white guys that they real strong on this Caucasus Genesis shit. So
no.
They think Semitic languages come from the Caucasus. I'm like, what the fuck?
No. Oh no. That's definitely no. No. If you follow the phylogenetic tree, you can see what E was doing in the direction that it went in. You can also see the Proto-Semitic coming out in North Africa, going into the Levant, being established, and then people later on from the Caucasus come down and mix with Semitic women and take on the languages of their mother. But the predecessor root of it paternally came from North African men or North African Levantine men.
You know how many times I done said this shit?
We put up the philo tree and everything, trying to shut these dudes is just dead, yo. They don't care. They just fighting for J. They fighting hard. I can't even front. It's their consistency on just the fight they're putting up and not wanting to let down, man. They these some fighters, man, like some real Horians, man, coming down out the mountains, man. Them dudes fighters.
Hey, they some Gutians. They some Gutians, bro.
I mean, that's what they do. I mean, these people are invaders to the Middle East. The Middle East had the first population turnover, especially in the Bronze Age. When with these other people coming in, diluting them. This is what I've been fighting about. Yo, this is what when me and Zion Lex had our debate. I got you. You guys got to go listen to it again. I was fighting for northern Mesopotamia. He's fighting for the Sumerians. I'm like, fuck this. I mean, excuse me. I'm like, F the Sumerians. They wasn't us. So I was talking about the Proto-Ubaid and those groups of people that built, which is the people that's related to us, the E family. Yeah, positive.
If you look at the Sumerian depictions during this time when the Gutians are coming down and invading and all that, you can clearly see these people have armanoid phenotypes. They got the big ass noses, the eyes, the air fryers. They got the air fryers on their face. We clearly can see who these people are. They're not family.
Right, but those Sumerians themselves too, even though they wasn't language isolate. These people were related to those people. I honestly believe that the Sumerians have to group J. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
I agree with you. Avery says the same.
I agree too. We were talking about that the other day. That's right.
Yeah. And if you guys check out the Sumerian king list, it goes back, according to the Sumerian king list, it goes back like thousands of years before them. They had Semitic names in the earlier phase of their king list before they even exist. So even those stories that they had, you know how people take credit and say the Akkadians learned from the Sumerians? Yeah, the Akkadians did pick up some customs from the Sumerians, but the Sumerians picked up a lot of customs from those Proto-Ubaid people. Like, you ever seen a depiction of those people holding a baby? They look like lizards.
Yeah. But Avery had brought that out too about the early Sumerian kings with the Semitic names.
Yeah. And you know what's a remnant of our North African Levantine connection that those Proto-Ubaid people had on those arts holding the babies that look like lizards? The cowrie shells that you see in the eyes.
The cowrie shells, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like those Bronze Age people, those people that was coming from the Caucasus and Iran, they were invaders. So the people that you see today, even right now, the Arabs, if you guys go on Twitter, they fighting right now. My brother, my Somali brother, we was going backwards and forth with these people. They fighting right now, Arab clans, over who was the original Edda, the E carriers or the J carriers. If you guys go on Twitter, this shit is big on Twitter.
Yeah, what's his name? Ivory be on Twitter a lot too. He gets a lot of tweets about that, those arguments. Like the Afro-Asiatic room over in Clubhouse, same thing. Oh man, they going at each other like you wouldn't believe, man. It's a mess. It's a shit show over there.
Yeah.
And it's funny though too, because like it's an E&J block party all day. Like wherever you find people who are like who claim to be Semitic or claim to have like lineage to like anybody Abrahamic, you're gonna find E and J every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
But
like,
J
good.
No, go ahead. I cut you with.
No, you got it. Go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say J problem is that they want to be the predecessors of it, and they're not. They're not. They were adopted into it. They got absorbed in it. In some cases, they forced themselves into it through the women. They forced themselves into it through our women.
Right. The women teach the children.
Your mother, your first teacher.
Yeah.
And then when you get into Arabic, Arabic is like the last stratum of Semitic language. So that's not even, the Arabic comes from the Nabatean scripts. And before that, there's earlier layers of Arabic. So the Arabic that we see today, I got into it at the mosque over this when I talked to one of the Shia. He said that Arabic is the language of Prophet Adam. Peace be upon him. I said, that's not true. Yeah, but again, they're pumping Arab supremacy.
Right.
By the time we get the Arabic language, that's a zigzag stratum of Semitic. That's not the actual pure Semitic. We got a whole lot of layers to get to before we get into Arabic. Layers of Paleo-Hebrew, that's very old. The Ugaritic languages, that's very old. Way before we get into
facts.
So yeah, I definitely like I say, man, you guys are holding out E. For anybody to say that, Caucasus, but we can't act like E didn't play a role in the Caucasus. He did their thing up there too.
Yeah, but they're trying to say they're not talking about Jay, man. They talking about Jay.
No,
Georgia, Russia, man.
Those dudes brought down that light skin variant. Those dudes brought down a lot of different genes into the Middle East.
Right. So before them,
you elucidated that.
The Middle East. Hold on, real quick, Sean. What did the Middle East look like before they brought in SLC 2485 and the A11T allele?
A lot of they look like Ethio-Somali people. They had that.
Hey, I know Beavis and Butthead watching right now, more.
Man.
I know they watching.
I mean that's just a fact. They look like Ethio-Somali people. They had a Eritrean look. They didn't look like the later addition that's been brought there now. Even Palestinians, people fight for the Palestine who are related to the Philistines that partially come from Crete or the Greek area, right? The sea people. Those dudes wasn't always there. If you really follow, who they are. It's been a lot of population turnover in the Levant, the Bronze Age, the sea people coming in, people from, it's all types of people. So what you're looking at right now.
But there's still Ethio-Somali looking people there now, though, if you go to certain portions like Jordan, etc., Palestine, etc.
Yes, they are. They are, but they are, because you still do see them, but you don't. They're not like the overall population that you see there.
No, they're not large at all, but they're very small. They're like almost the ghost population, but they're still there.
Yes, and if you want to look at a Natufian, you go look at the people in the Horn of Africa, or you look at the people in Socotra, in Yemen. They still got that look. The Emirates groups that you find in the Arabian Peninsula itself, they still got their look. They still got that swarthier, darker skin or reddish, darker skin. The specific type of hair texture. Those people in the Middle East didn't look like the way they look today. I can't even play that game. I even think that even when the Hyksos, who were learning how to build those chariots from the Hurrians before they came back into Egypt, because some of their ancestors was in Egypt in the 11th dynasty, and they came in peacefully. It wasn't a takeover like that until the 15th dynasty, until they moved to the 18th dynasty. Those Hyksos or foreign rulers were networking with those Hurrians, where they learned how to deal with the chariot for when they come to combat. So those people were. This is when you start to find that common haplogroup J Arab look. You know what I'm saying? Start to come in with the hook nose and the little lips.
Let me ask you a question, Amir. Let me ask you this: okay, let's say 6,000 years ago, would the people of the Levant look like the depictions on my screen? 6,000 years ago.
6,000 years ago, we got to talk about the beginning. They start to insert themselves down. Remember, it was the Natufians started to get absorbed and mixed in with people that look something like this. But around 5,000 years ago, you start to see them blur out completely. But 6,000 years ago, no, they would have still had some in between a Somali look still, and some of them, remember, in that Bronze Age, they start to come down.
Mm-hmm. So 6,000 years ago would be 4,000 BC, roughly.
Yes.
That's Chalcolithic, going into the Bronze a little later.
Yes. So as they come back. Mm-hmm.
So that area wouldn't be dominated with this phenotype.
No. They start to increase later. Like it start to increase. It's a gradual. It's not a overall whole takeover. They start to come in phases and waves.
Okay, I just wanted to, because we got some white racist nationalists that watch us, and they differ on that.
No, see, the problem is that these cats, a lot of them racists, especially like the racist whites that run with North Africans, they look at a lot of the people like the Natufians had, in Ibero-Maurusians, they had straight hair or wavier hair, and they think that's a result of coming from them, or it's a result to denounce the so-called Negroid component, which is extremely racist. And here's the thing: wavy hair developed in Africa. It doesn't develop nowhere else. It developed in North Africa and in the Levant. It's not indigenous to nowhere else. Hair tech, to be honest with you, they found and I'll send you this article. They found one of the oldest humans' hair in a hyena cave in South Africa. And it went back to 200,000 years, right? According to the estimation of what they say, how old it is, right? And when they looked at the hair shaft, the hair was in between European and African. The hair shaft range was at 60, right? That hair texture is more equivalent to people that's Aborigine Australians, which have the wavier texture hair. So this this is not a shout out. This is not a disrespect to people with coily or thicker hair. What I'm trying to say is that the wavier texture hair is actually one of the oldest textures of hair before people that stayed in open savanna developed the more thicker hair to release heat to keep the body cool.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So even that hair that the Natufians and the Ibero-Maurusians had is actually extremely old, even older than the extra coily or thicker hair for Homo sapiens that stayed in tropical open hot savanna, which developed thicker hair to release heat to keep the body cool. In that case, the hair gets drier. We don't have a lot of the brothers and sisters don't have a lot of moisture in it because of the tropical zones that they develop in. But that's not the oldest texture of hair. So even with that, like it's problematic. So when you look at some of these Egyptian mummies in pre-dynastic phases, and they have like straighter hair, it doesn't make them less African or less African at all. That type of hair actually developed in Africa or North Africa. It developed there.
Hold on, I think we got a racist coming in right now. Frank, I hope your internet is strong, brother. You're gonna need a strong connection for this conversation. Let's see if it says device not connected. If this is the same Frank, I think I know. He's against black people being in Egypt and the Levant. He's against.
Oh, please let him come on. Please let him come on.
I think this is him. Hey, Moore, you were trying to share something, brother?
Go ahead, Orthodox Moore.
Moore. You wanted to share this book right here? This is a good book right here, man. I actually own this book. It's called The Corpus of Early Arabic Sources of West African History. It mentions that the Jews have always been in West Africa. Oh, this ain't the same Frank. I'm thinking this is that racist white dude on the internet. What's going on, Frank?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Peace.
Okay, so sorry, I'm not the racist Frank, so yeah, I am the Bantu Frank. The Bamileke guy is from Cameroon.
Okay.
Yeah, living in Switzerland. Yeah, so I was just going to touch on the what you were discussing regarding mud houses in the Bantu land. Yeah, first of all, the mud houses or the stick houses that were built in the centuries, thousands of years ago. You know, when Bantus were running away from the Muslim invasion, they could not be building permanent structures because they were being constantly chased and by the Muslims. But later on, when they were settled and they could build more permanent houses, they went from building stick houses to mud bricks houses, not just mud and cut down, which is these are the things that the Nubians in the northern Cameroon are used to, and not the Bantus. The Bantus are used to building houses with mud bricks, either directly sun dry and they build it, or they will actually burn it and build the houses. And mud bricks are actually very good for the weather. When it's hot outside, inside is cool. So during hot season, you get inside the house, everything is cool. And during cold seasons, it's cold outside, but it's warmer inside. So it actually makes sense in that way. But these days in Central Africa and most Bantu areas, they actually have houses that are far modern than some of the houses that you can find in Europe. So things have actually evolved a lot. So for anyone to think that housing or housing technology in Bantu land has degraded is actually people who don't actually know the place. I think most people have not really visited Bantu places in Africa to know exactly what is going on these days. Yeah, so that was my contribution.
Yeah, that's what I was pointing out, man. We were dealing with brick, like you said, brick edifices, buildings. We understood that. And like you said, that's why I said it was a decline of culture. We see that decline of culture very recently with a lot of these Bantus. And that's all I was bringing out in regards to the mud huts and why we see them today and what was, it's not representative of our history and our past in Africa. Our past in Africa is more complex than people like to give us credit for.
If y'all look at the screen, right, this is a great example of what people would call a mud hut. But as you see, this is greater than a mud hut or any type of hut, right?
Yeah.
So this is the structure that the brothers are expressing so that you can actually see it with your eyes, right? Because you might be just looking at the mud hut as just a little living quarter or something, but we actually build, libraries, temples, things of that nature with the same brick system.
So we understood irrigation too, brother. We understood irrigation, all this.
Absolutely.
And like my brother just said, he said, those mud huts, when it's hot, it's cooler inside. And again, that's also advanced. I mean, the mud huts are dope, actually. So I'm glad he brought that up about the temperature and how when it's hot, it's cooler inside of mud huts. So again, it takes science and understanding to know how to deal with certain things like that. That's actually powerful.
And that same science, right? That same science is also used in the colder climates with the igloos, right? Yep. When they build the igloos, it's warmer inside of the igloos than outside.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's insulation. Like our houses are insulated now, so that mud was a natural insulator, like in hotter climates. That makes sense. That makes sense. But we just want people to give our people credit because all we hear is dung huts. All we hear about is primitive Africans. That's all we hear. Every time Africa is represented or put on TV or on a commercial or something, it's the little kid with the big stomach with the flies in his eyes. We don't hear about the great history of our ancestors. We hear about how we're debased and how we're primitive and we needed white society to lift us up.
I agree with you, Yashil. I know that a lot of these European races that's out here debating, they try to make it seem like that's all we were good for is building mud huts and we had no technology, we had no writing, and we have nothing to do with North Africa or the Middle East. That's what they want you to believe. Mm-hmm. They want you to believe that you had nothing to, like the lady Phoenician 7-7. She's a big racist in the community. She wants you to believe that sub-Saharan or what they call sub-Saharan Africans had nothing, not even shoes. All we had was
that's a big lie.
Butt naked adventurers.
That's all. That's all. So we got brothers like you and us that's fighting. I fight for haplogroup E too. Like I'm not gonna let people make haplogroup E look like we were just primitive. And when you start talking about this marker and the other direction that it comes from, this is when they start to get quiet. You cannot denounce the African element in the Hebrew system or the Muslim system or early Christianity. You cannot denounce the haplogroup E presence that was the predecessors of ancient Egypt. I mean, we were some dope people. You know, these men, they went everywhere and did a lot of things, even in the early Mediterranean parts of Greece, before the Mycenaeans or the Minoans. Haplogroup E was up there. Mm-hmm. So,
well, we got a head start. We got if you put the rise of D 70,000 years ago, how old are these other groups like IJ? That's 30,000 years. So we got like a 40,000 year head start. You understand? Where we were already lingering in Saudi Arabia, in the Levant, in North Africa. We were lingering in there already. We're already living and producing and doing things long before these people even had their genesis on the planet Earth.
Yes. Yes.
That's basically why they try to change this. That's basically why a lot of, people who fight for J, they try to say like we pre-Adamites, because it was older and they can't get around that. So this is their argument.
Fine. Let them say that shit. Here's the thing. Let them say whatever they want to say. I don't give a fuck what your ideological framework is. The point is, our ancestors are already there tens of thousands of years. I don't care if you're atheist, Afrocentric, Christian, Hebrew, Islamic, all that. You have to bow down to the fact that our ancestors was already there.
They were. They can't get past that. I mean, even with the people that
they try to push it. That's why they try to push us to pre-Adamites, for those very reasons, or we was here before. Noah's flood. We were survivors of the Noah's flood. That were here. From Adam. This is the argument that they put forth.
Those cats racist. Those cats racist, man. I mean, even when you study haplogroup E, bro. If you study the Tyrian culture from North Africa, that those early people in the Levant came from, those people were creating shoes and clothes 100,000 years ago. Type up a Tyrian culture creating clothes. So even those people that leaked out and was responsible for those Nubian complexes that you find in Arabia and in Oman, possibly what happened with EM96 developed at when it first split off from DE. I mean, my argument is that EM96 developed in Arabia. That's just what my argument is. Before going back into Africa and diversifying.
I think that's what you elucidated, Amir. That's what you elucidated in that video you did with 93. That you had spoke about that particular culture.
Yeah, I was trying to explain how the Tyrian culture in North Africa leaked out, went through the Levant and Arabian Peninsula, and this is where you find the Nubian complexes and the certain tools. And these same people what DE started to like disperse and split from, and the reason why I came to this conclusion is because they found DE, a yacht marker, in Mongolia. Are you guys aware of that new information?
Yes, actually, I'm well aware of that. That's a new paper. I think that paper was October 2021 or something.
It was October 2021. Yes, it's new. And I started because my argument was always North Africa. Even though it probably did develop in North Africa, still not throwing it out completely, I highly lean to the Arabian Peninsula based off the direction. And I look at Africa as an incubator that haplogroup E or a paragroup branch of DE went back into and mutated into E and diversified and start to go disperse all through North Africa and other layers before even going into sub-Saharan South Africa. So that Arabian Peninsula, even that shit is ours. That Levant area is ours, all of it. You know what I'm saying? We were all in those areas first.
Right. Exactly. That makes us our ancestors the primary candidates of being, the original people, are autochthonous, as they say, of these lands, and that's a hard argument, and a hard pill to swallow for a racist, especially when you talk about where we see civilizations pop up. Right, we see it pop up in the regions where you see a lot of yap markers at, right, whether it be Egypt, Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it, right. You can't take our ancestors out of the picture.
You can't. And we created multiple language families, including Afro-Asiatic, and even Niger-Congo. Believe it or not, it has a bridge language, something that's in between a Proto-Afro-Asiatic and what they call a Saharic, a Proto-Saharic, or what they call Congo-Saharic blend. So those Icarian men spoke some layer, possibly, and because some linguists believe this, possibly spoke before it fused together and became creolized of what we see today. There's a proto-stratum of a type of Proto-Afro-Asiatic stratum in it from an earlier layer that was inserted into those other languages, becoming what we find now. And this is why you find some linguists, some words in Niger-Congo languages, and in modern Medo Netta or Egyptian language, or even Semitic Hebrew, you find some language ties. Why? Something bridged together in somewhere down the line when you start following the language phylum tree and how linguistics work. That's what kills the game right there.
Exactly. It's just the language bridge was so old, it's hard to reconstruct it. But you're absolutely correct. But that goes back to where Afro-Asiatic started with. Proto-Afro-Asiatic started with our paternal marker, EP2, and then split. So if it's split there at that basal node, then we would expect those descendants to speak the language of their fathers initially at the onset. And people don't understand that argument. So yeah.
Listen, bro, I'm on the side. Listen, I fight for E2. You know what I'm saying? Like E, again, I'm like you guys. I do it in my own way. E was I'm not gonna let anyone downplay E. I don't care who it's coming from. And I find a lot of Europeans doing it. They even some of those Ashkenazis even make the haplogroup E-carrying Ashkenazis feel bad in groups, making them feel less than, because majority of these texts is R or J. So they try to shit on the E markers. That's amongst them.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That is facts,
man. Hey, look, man, we not
Albert Einstein was one of the great.
We're not discriminated. We busted all areas. All dudes is getting shot at. So when brothers can't say that about this channel, when we make our arguments is not just catered to one group.
Correct.
We deal with Ashkenazi, we deal with racists, we deal with Afrocentric, we deal with everybody that speak in a negative way towards our ancestors. You understand? And we grow up, we learning, and we adjusting our information to get more scientifically correct. That's all.
I mean, that's part of science. You guys got a scientific mind. I mean, science, we no one can go in with an absolute. You know, we even got to test our own data before we even come up with what it is. We got to test our own data with a null hypothesis and reject our own information and put it to the test before we even come up to the conclusion of what it is to come up with a consensus. So what you guys are doing, you're following the proper scientific methodology. That's what's needed. You understand it. So yeah, I agree with you.
Hey, this brother said I'm happy. This is Rob Bourne. He's I'm haplogroup New York. Rob Bourne, what's your haplogroup, brother? Why? Tell us your haplogroup, man. Is this him? Who is this? 1, 2, 3. This must be a troll account. 1, 2, 3. You're on the show.
They got a Somali.
Hello. Yes, I am Somali. Wa alaikum assalam. Ramadan Mubarak, by the way. I have a quick question, brother Ngozi. I am Somali, and I am trying to research about my background, right? So, do you know anything about the Somali people, like who their ancient people are related to when it comes to the Northeast Africa? Who are we mostly related to? Do you have any idea? If you have any files or something that I can go and look and research, that would be great.
Yeah. Yes, I can send you some stuff, but I tell it to you real quick to the best of my ability, and the brothers can add on. The Somali people, before you became Somali, you come from pastoralist cults. You used to venerate a deity called Wak. But if you follow the phylogenetic tree and break down your genetics, a layer of you are highly basal Eurasian or North African Levantine. So the EM78 marker that a lot of your men have comes from an early phase of Egypt or Upper Egypt, in between Northern Sudan and Upper Egypt before going south into the Red Sea, right? The EM78 was brought down and then meet up with other signals of V2, which is the Omotic population that they slightly split from. So you guys split from EM215, it goes into EM35. EM35 goes into a merge of becoming EV68 or EV65. which forms the EM78. And then within EM78, you have four. You have EV22, EV12, EV13 that went towards the Mediterranean and Balkans as high in Eastern Europeans, and EM32, which is what the Proto-Bija people had before going south. So around 8,000 years ago, you guys were the predecessors of Afroasiatic, or that marker was the predecessor of Afroasiatic. You're part of that because we all split from the Proto-Omotic people. Proto-Omotic is closest to the earlier phase of Afroasiatic before you find Cushitic and all these other strategies of Afroasiatic. So you guys go north, and then you go south and you cross through the Red Sea. Some of your people went toward the Levant. Some of your people were related to those Natufian populations. You go south as pastoralist coats. You develop in the Dakhla Oasis. Then you go south. From Dakhla Oasis, you go south and you start to meet up with your Omotic cousins. As you merge with your Omotic cousins later on, in some layers you become Somali. But you have different layers before becoming Somali. You have the Afar, you have the Sahu, you have the Bija, which is the earliest stratums of Cushitic before you go south and become the Somali itself. You have cave art in Somalia called Lesgel. Lesgel cave art go back probably 8,000 to 10,000 years. So you play a major role in the old Middle Eastern world, from North Africa to the Levant to that Red Sea. You play a major role in that. And you guys have a large component from those early Basal Eurasians that split off from North Africans. And if the Basal Eurasians, if the Basal Eurasians themselves were not North Africans, we know that the North African population that becomes Basal Eurasian has been going backwards and forth from the Near East to North Africa for a long time, for a very long time.
Wow, I am so thankful for you to explain this, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Oh, so you mean like we just break off the Beja? So Beja is supposed to be the Proto-Somali. So we just broke off and then we migrated southwards. Is that what you mean?
The Beja people are one of the earliest layers of Cushitic. So you guys are in relation to that. And when you look at the Beja people, you guys have the same paternal marker highly, even though you guys have it more because Somali people were more isolate and you guys are more homogenous. Even though you guys have different Kabils, you still are more homogenous amongst breeding with one another compared to the Beja, who was on the front line intermingling with Arabs recently. So when you look at the Beja people, they have that old signature that you guys have, the EV32 branch of EM78. They have it, but they also, a lot of J's have inserted themselves into the Beja today. So, but the Beja people do represent is the earliest layer of Cushitic language within the Afroasiatic stratum. So it goes from north to south.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Now, when we talk about the ancient Nubian, ancient Kushite, do you find anything with the Somalis or the Somalis in there in that area where we are right now? Like,
well, you guys are in relation because you guys became Punt, and Punt stretched from modern day Eritrea to northern Somalia. So the Punt that we know was from Eritrea to northern Somalia. You guys weren't related because those type of men that you guys have in Somalia were the same type of men that was in the early Sudanese empire. But also the Cushitic people, Sudan was not homogenous. You had different groups of people there, and this is the thing: we can't look at all black people being the same because they have dark skin. That's a pseudo argument. You had different groups of people. Sudan is the three biggest countries in Africa is what? Algeria, Nigeria with the largest population, and Sudan before it split, North Sudan and South Sudan. So Sudan always had a strong Nilotic component that was there. And it also had those Afroasiatic Cushitic people that were there. And then you also had the Levantine, even with those Bronze Age Chalcolithic bastards. I'm going to say that because, a lot of people fight for them. A lot of those people start to insert themselves in and mingle through Egypt because Egypt got watered down real bad because you got to look at the area, the proximity of Egypt, what was going on. It's right there. So they were getting hit first before it started to milk its way down south. So they have a lot of that Chalcolithic component that was inserted into them, especially on the maternal side. These Icarian men was taking on foreign women higher in that portion of Africa compared to the people that was in the Sudan. So in the Sudan, you had the Bija Cushitic type people that were there, who was also the Magi, who was in the Egyptian military or the police, and then you had the Nilotic components that was there. So yes, your type of people, even if they wasn't called Somali, your type of people played a major role in.
Yeah, Somali is new. It's new. The name Somali is new. It's not an ancient name. So we just got it like not so long ago. So yeah.
But your people is old. Your genetics is older. Culture can change. Like even Yoruba, in West Africa. That's not that old. Yoruba is only probably 2,300 years old, but the genetics of the Yoruba is very old. You find the genetics of the Yoruba even in the early Levant 3,600 years ago.
Yeah, the name Somali is not new. It's new. It's not old. So thank you so much, brother. It was great. And Yashu, I was on your channel long time ago. I'm sorry if I came in and just disturbed your conversation.
Are you the sister from Europe? Are you the Somali sister?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
remember
me.
you. I remember you.
Yeah, a long time ago. So yeah, thank you so much. It has really helped me. If you have any files that I can look through, just send me. I'm gonna just sit here back and look if you can send me something that I can study on. Thank you.
All right, sister. Salam alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak to you guys.
Sorry, just a question about the Somali. Don't you have a minority of Bantus in Somalia and Somaliland? All right.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
In the South Somali, not the North, but in the South we do have.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Hey, brother Frank, you the brother from Cameroon, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I remember when you came on and gave
yeah.
your origin.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll try every time you have a live streaming to join as much as I can, because here it's 8 p.m. No, almost 9 p.m. in Switzerland where I live. So it's always happening at night time.
Wait, you're in Europe too?
Yeah, I live in Switzerland.
Hey, how do we connect with these Europeans? Like a lot of European brothers and sisters are watching the show. Like it's another brother from Germany, you, and like I think it's like 2 or 3 brothers from Germany that watch the channel.
I've been watching your channel, mostly the videos on YouTube for the past maybe 2-3 years or more. And so yeah, I just got the opportunity to join in when you're live. So fantastic.
Okay. What's your opinion on everything that was discussed today? Do you believe that Abrahamic languages and stuff like that, or not languages, faiths, were intrusive to Africa, or were they a part of Africa, or what's your stance on that?
Now, for me, it was part of Africa anyway, because when you look at if you look at Genesis, Genesis chapter 12 and 13, when Abraham left Egypt, he said, went south down to the Negev. If you are leaving from Egypt and you're going south, you cannot be going south up into the Levant.
Oh, hold on, I gotta stop you, brother. I can't rock with that.
Yeah.
He traveled north from Egypt. He didn't go south into to the Sudan. He went north. Because remember, where did he come from initially? Haran. Haran is north of Egypt, right? Right, brother.
Yeah. Yes.
So if he's traveling back towards that direction to the land of Canaan, there's no way he could be going to the Sudan, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Now, so anyway, I always open to learn. So I'm not the type that I stick to my guns. That's stupid to do that. So I'm always open to learn. So anything new, I'm always ready to learn. So that's my attitude.
We got our brother Rob Bourne in the building. What's going on, Rob Bourne?
Ain't nothing, man. I'm just coming up here to, I was listening to Ngozi. I don't know what happened to my brother, man, but I'm just here listening.
What you mean? What happened to him?
I don't know what's going on here, yo.
What you talking about? I was about to say something. I'm talking about haplogroup E. What's the problem with haplogroup E, bro?
Nah. I heard you talking about Abraham and Prophet Abraham and all.
No. What I'm saying is, speaking and whether people believe it symbolically or not, we're talking about the paternal markers from the direction that the person came from. So what I'm saying is that if we focus on, this is what I was arguing with Zion Lex about. This has always been my argument, Rob Bourne. I'm not saying if people believe he exists historically or not. We're talking about the direction that these people come from, right? From the Proto-Ubaid and relation. And in the Proto-Ubaid from the relations, these were Proto-Semitic speaking people. And if we follow the phylogenetic tree of the Proto-Semitic speaking people, their root comes from the Harithians who descend from North Africa, right? So the direction that this person or these people came from, whether it was a historical or dreamy or not, we're saying a paternal marker. The paternal marker, they had a lot of E's lingering in those areas if they come from a specific area. So I'm speaking in that sense. And this is even my.
So you speaking in the sense of Abraham representing a group of people migrating.
A group of people from the direction that he came from, which is those areas there, the Near East or whatever. If he is in relation to the Proto-Ubaid people, the Proto-Ubaid people are descendants of the pre-pottery population who are relations to the Natufians, who are also a kinship to the Harithians.
No, I get that. What I'm speaking about the figure. Are you saying that Abraham is a historical figure?
No. Regardless if he was historical or not, that's what I'm saying. On here, I'm saying that for those who believe that he was historical, this principality with me, you know, I deal with things for principles and symbolism, not literal at all. I'm not saying that.
Okay. Because I missed. I was like, damn. No. I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? I'm talking about if the person, like for example, let's say he was okay. You have this character named Adremi that some people believe that, you know, postulate that this was probably him if you follow the story, even though it changed. But outside of it, even though we don't even know how true that is, but if people follow because for me, I follow the, you know, as a person dealing with the lessons, it's about the principles, not his veracity. You understand that? So the thing is that if we follow it for symbolism, if these people came from that Near Eastern area and they are in relation to the Proto-Ubaid people, we understand that a Proto-Semitic stratum exists there, and it's not bad to throw out, or not to put out the idea of the E carrying marker dispersing back, because a lot of those Proto-Semitic people that went over there had a specific type of marker. And I'm not talking in a historical sense. We're talking about the migration pattern in genetic sense, if we follow the direction that these people come from. So you know how you have people that say, like Ashkenazi white Jews, or even Arabs. They're trying to make it seem like Africans wasn't SHIT, shit or whatever. And they're trying to make it seem like that the only reason why the E is in the Middle East is because you were a slave, or we were slaves. That's not true.
No, that's not true. Terrible.
So when you start following history and you start following genetics or anthropology and you start following archaeology and you start following the history of what's going on, E has been in the Middle East and it played a major role in the Middle East for thousands of years. So I'm here to say that we are not slaves, and that's not the only result of what we are. You know what I'm saying? That shit, E played a major role in a lot of accomplishments, even in antiquity and ancient times, as far as the early Near East. That's my argument.
Copy. Did you ever do your genealogy? And I'm not talking about because it can mean that genetically, but from your family history going back.
Yeah, I know my mother's side, my father's side. My mother's side, my mother's Fulani, and a lot of her family, I know where they come from directly. My father's, you know, a kidnapped West African of the New World. So I did do that. A lot of my father's side of the family comes from Carolina and Louisiana. His mother moved to Tennessee, and before that, they come from Carolina. The southern comes from Carolina.
Yeah, okay. How far do you take it back on your father's side?
My father's side went back. The farthest I went back was 1826.
Mm-hmm.
That's the furthest. I want to go back even further.
Right. Because I didn't, you know, we do the DNA thing. So I just got my thing back from Ancestry because I did that because I wanted the autosomal. I wanted that. And I put it in Gen Match. And the interesting thing about my thing go back to 1801. And I don't know who my physical father is, but by doing this, I found the cousins on my father's side. Now I know. Ain't this
absolutely? Absolutely.
So you know that was a revelation for me. But at the end of the day, I think that's knowledge itself right there. I think that you start where you at, right? Your collective history of your ethnicity, where you at, and your personal, and then you go back. My issues with most of the even with the people I call Egyptomaniacs, you're not gonna tell me that ancestor worship, which was done all throughout Africa and numerous places, but you're not gonna jump me from America, skip West Africa, and start talking to me about Egyptian ancestors. Those ain't my ancestors. I'm not doing that. It just becomes romanticized, and it's like that 500-year gap seems to be the most mystery out of all. But when we get to talk about 5,000 years ago, say we know all the first dynasties. We could tell you about 30,000 years ago, this haplogroup. You don't know what culture these people were doing. There's no writings. All we have is artifacts and guessing that they did believe in the afterlife because you could see that. I'm not with all of that, man. I want to know, like, this is the part that was taken from us. This was really like an intention. This was intentional and caused division.
You're talking about the 500 years. You're talking about the 500 years during the slave trade, like, you know, us being in this country.
Just that whole period,
after
even that part.
Right.
So whenever you hear conversations, it either skips to Egypt on the Afrocentric side, skip to Israel, skip to Samaria, and when they get down to that, to even show like those Africanisms in our culture here, you got people saying that we don't even got that. But you could tell me that our moon name is in Ghana. But when we ask you, okay, what's the Ghana system? How is their system set up? You don't know. Or if I ask, okay, we got Jews in Ghana. Okay, tell me about these people. What were they doing? How were they setting up their societies? What were their traditional gods before these other individuals? It's quiet in the room. So, you know, it's like I kind of like give up at this point because it's like everybody's scared. It's like that, like what the European told us, the same thing in our lessons, same thing they call the West Africa's a jungle. We're going to skip that shit. We're going to go all the way back here somewhere. I don't know, it goes, that's where I'm at.
So my brother Rabon, no, King, this is the thing, bro. To me, you're one of the teachers of our community. You and the brother that beat the whole movement that y'all produce. You guys introduce and insert and teach the West African history. Because a lot of people not hip to West Africa. They're not. They don't know nothing about West Africa. And I believe because you understand it and know it, that's what you here for, King. I wouldn't want you to give up, and I wouldn't give up if I was you, because that's what you look for.
I wouldn't say give up. It's like it becomes annoying. So
you're saying the argument itself. You're saying the argument itself is becoming. Yeah. You're saying the argument itself is becoming. It's becoming monotonous. It's right, aggravating you.
Let's say I disappear for a year. I haven't. Me and Joshua argue, curse, I'm gonna fuck you up, blah 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 blah. Don't talk for a year, 2 years. Come back and talk. We having the same conversation. Or I could talk to somebody else. I haven't talked to you in a while, and then I'm like, yo, bro, like I didn't learn so much shit in the past 5 years. I'm like, yo, bro, like I feel like a baby being born, knowing all of this stuff and I'm just dealing with my state. Still, I don't know all of this. There's no way for me to do. At this point, I know now that I can't cherry pick it. There's no one book you can open. It's too vast. And that's just in America, just here. I mean, so, you know, it gets boring after a while.
But you know what, Rob? Yeah, but we all still we all still learning, though. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but we all still learning. So, you know, but we're not putting these books down. We're not putting these studies down. So, Rob, I get what you're saying.
And Rob, you're on top of the mountain, yo. You're a teacher. That's what comes with being a teacher, bro. You're feeling alone, feeling like it's pointless. I feel like that shit. Like that's why I be getting off social media. That's why I can't keep a social media. I get off, but I can't help but teach. But this will come with the territory. It's like it becomes repetitive. You study repeating yourself over and over again. It becomes a problem. So I definitely agree with you. But this is what come with it, God. This will come with it. A truth seeker, yes. My mother's Pula.
Hey, Yashu, you did your genealogy? You there? Mic check? You probably stepped away.
Yeah, I did mine. I did mine ancestry too. Like my father's people go back to Alabama, and then Georgia, and then Maryland and whatnot. And then
bro, that shit is tedious, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, like I'm like, this is easy. And then my mother's side, maternal side, is almost easy because all my family comes from the Bahamas. They all come there, they all go to Florida, and then they disperse out. And then they got the Gullah people and all that other stuff.
I was about to say you gotta be related to the Gullah people. Right. Switch out of some or whatnot.
Yeah, that's how I knew about that. I knew about that from I had a chance to meet my great grandmother. And I knew about that from her, and I didn't know what the hell she was saying, bro. I'm like, what the hell is she saying, Grandma? What the fuck? Look at she
talking
about.
A lot of us would have. Yeah, a lot of
my grandfather spoke. He had an interesting way of speaking too. Yeah, you got to if you haven't heard it, it's an interesting way of talking, fam.
Yeah, so I just think it's tedious, bro. I thought it was easy.
Yeah, that's my screen.
Yeah. What's that?
Okay, so what I'm showing right here, because a lot of people like to look at us as being primitive, again, being in West Africa. Well, these are the systems that we use, right, to help us, you know what I'm saying, move water, to keep the water flowing. You see what I'm saying? Like, we wasn't just building mud huts, as people like to say. Now, mind you, this is what they seen when they came into our quarters, where we were living, where we were doing things, right? So it wasn't just, we just doing this so primitive stuff that people like to, you know what I'm saying, put on us. Very intelligent tribes of people. You know what I'm saying? Engineers, you see, farmers, all these good things that we needed to sustain ourselves in what we call civilization. So I just want to bring that out, man, because a lot of people like to make these old crazy comments and say we wasn't nothing, bro. We was nothing but sheep herders, bro. Stop playing.
What is that you showing though? What is that?
This is what these are some systems that they found in West Africa when they came to gather us up. So this is the information that they drew about what they seen when they came into West Africa.
So it's basically a water pump. It's moving water from one area to another. It's like a well. It's pulling water and moving it throughout the quarters that they live in.
Just in case you couldn't see it, you know what I'm saying? That's what these systems is, man. You know what I'm saying? So very intelligent people, family. We was far from stupid, far from dumb.
Yeah. I mean, modern day Nigerians prove that we're not stupid. Have you seen the accomplishments and the shit that the Nigerians is doing? You know what I'm saying? Like when they said that, you know, people from sub-Saharan Africa are stupid, some of your best accountants are Nigerians. You know what I'm saying? These people are very advanced technically. So yeah, we can't really pay attention to that. We can just use modern times and look at the population and achieve Nigerian men and women in the West that's dominating, you know, in academia. I mean, dominating over whites and Jews and even Asians. So Igbo people are actually very advanced when it comes to business and marketing and understanding computers. These people are very technically advanced. Our Bantu brothers and sisters coming from Cameroon or Angola, you know, they're achieving a lot of things. So that whole idea that we're primitive and stupid and we can't do or inadequate, that's stupid as fuck. And that's how we got to kill racism. We can just look at modern populations today.
Hey, Ngozi, you gotta somebody made a statement to yourself on the screen.
Who said that Chadic? Hold on, he said, hold on, let me see what he said. He said that Chadic isn't Niger Congo, it's Afro-Asiatic. I asked based on Ngozi, who stated, I believe it was under layer. No, I never said that Chadic was Niger Congo. Chadic is Afro-Asiatic. The Hausa languages is Afro-Asiatic. I said the Niger Congo languages. I would never say that Chadic is Niger Congo. No, it's not Niger Congo. It's Afro-Asiatic. It definitely is. Matter of fact, the maternal marker that I have, which shows that the early Fulani, before they became Pulaire, L3F, were the progenitors of bringing that Afro-Asiatic language, Chadic languages, from the eastern parts of the continent into that part of Central Africa and giving it to them. And later on, R1BBA8 came way later. Afro-Asiatic was already spoken.
I was about to say R1 is found amongst the Chadic people.
Yeah, R1 came way later. Those men drifted down through Gibraltar and came through North Africa, probably around 5,000 years ago. They crossed through the Iberian Peninsula from the other side because the predecessor of R1BBA8 was found in Italy with Villabranamel. Villabranamel fossils was 13,000 years old, and he was the predecessor. And then they found it amongst pre-Sardinian hunter-gatherers. So R1BBA8 is not indigenous to Africa, and no, they were not Indo-European speakers. Some of those R's escaped the Black Sea area way before Indo-European language was spoken. So when these R's come back into North Africa, probably 6,000 to 5,000 years ago, they end up in the Sahara. They're coming in and mingling with the women or the people that were there, and they get absorbed in us. They get absorbed in the customs that we had. So yes, Chadic or Hausa languages is Afro-Asiatic. But genetically, autosomally speaking, they're very similar to Nilotic people because you had a strong Nilotic component that was there too. You know, so Right. I never said that Chaddock was non-Afro-Asiatic. It's definitely Afro-Asiatic.
Hey, Rob, did you want to find out? Do you want to know what your Y chromosome haplogroup is? I said, do you want to know? Like, I know you said you did your ancestry. You can hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said I know you did your ancestry, with your autosomal, but did you want to know what your Y chromosome is? Did you want to know?
Yeah, I got my joint up in Jet Match already, so I'm waiting for that. However long that shit takes, I gotta look to see when it.
Because you just may find out. You just may find out in with your Y haplogroup that you are, in fact, what your lessons teach you, that you Afro-Asiatic, that you're Asiatic black man.
I don't know, because I have a different concept of that. Because it's sort of like what Ngozi said, it's more symbolic, and there's no ancient people called Asiatic. All right, you know that the first time we even see that word is where Herodotus, and you know, just knowing that that term that was made here in America, and I know why they made it. I know what the purpose was, and I know what Elijah was trying to say. So you know, I get that. So I'm not that type of person to. At first, that's what I did. So like, I was shocked when I started seeing Bible verses in my life. I'm like, yo, I thought, hold on, what the hell is Jesus doing in this lesson, bro? Ain't no, what is this? So you are supposed to go and answer the question for yourself. When it says who's the original man and it gives you the answer, yeah, you're supposed to know it for the ritual as when we come amongst each other, but you have to answer that question. So we all don't sound the same. So you might see somebody at a Pacific level and he'll say that. You might find somebody that say, yeah, y'all cool with it because that's where they at. But that's not where I'm at. So when I started studying, my objective was to prove my beliefs. So what is this right here? Can I find this in history? And when I go, I look, I find the Tamahu. I said, oh, Tamahu, the created white man. I think I found it. You got a Yaku in the height. And then I'm like, I went a little more into it. I said, oh, yeah, that's not true. I can't say that's non-cipher there. So, you know, that's where I'm at with it. Just me knowing that history, especially with that term Asiatic or what that's connected to and how it deals with Marcus Garvey and how we get Islam and no one never really looks at that. It is because of Marcus Garvey that Islam is really over here. People will look at the Ahmadiyas, but he is the one who gave them the stage to bring this forward. And then when I look at Dusay Muhammad, that person who is Marcus Garvey teacher, who's running around with the feds, he's over here, and he makes a Asiatic association and how black people are wearing turbans on their head so that they can get around Jim Crow. And then they start to embody different things. Like, I'm an Indian. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm looking at it, and I see these connections. So I don't got to go through all of that. But just me knowing that, I'm cool with that because I know that. But it depends on who you're talking to. Somebody might really tell you that. Be like, yo, I prove it. Now, if you do language, if you're doing like what Ngozi's saying, yeah, there's some Hausa people that came to the Americas. If you can find that you got some linkages with that, you could use that later term that nobody ever used and say, well, yeah, this is that, I'm this. Or you can use archaeology, look at the Arabian complex from 170,000 to 7. There's a certain Levantius technology there, and that's not the origin of civilization, but it is the origin of civilization. You could do all that, but I chose not to go that way. I'm going in the way of why people started calling themselves this. Where did that come from? And that's born here in America.
No, I respect that. Okay.
I mean, African Americans are Nuak. You know, that's what I call us. New World African American Creole people. We did a lot. A lot of stuff was founded here. Even the idea of Pan-Africanism, you know, for Africans to want to be one, it was found here. And I think that we should embrace that. We did a lot of things here. We accomplished a lot here. You know, to build a new world America. I mean, I'm talking about, even though we know about 1619 and even before that in the late 1500s, we're talking about after 1765 when America was established. The African American Creole, or the Nuak, which were Africans, that is the foundation partially of this new world. So we should embrace
a lot of the accomplishments, even Asiatics, the terms that we had, the Hebrew Israelite movement, which played a role in our history, the Christian movement played a role in our history, the Islamic movement played a role in our history, even some atheists. It was black, a theme atheists that achieved a lot here. The idea of Black Americans and what we have done to the world and what we offer the world is amazing. So if we look at what we have accomplished now, it's dope, you know, based off what we did here. And all of that plays a role in it. All of it.
I mean, to simply put it, what you're saying is, you know what I'm saying, the world basically structured themselves off of us because we the example to everything. That's basically.
Yes, King, this is.
RSK, let it play, boy. When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers. When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers. I wake up inside me a prayer, brush my teeth, babe, then I throw on some threads. Wash my face, grab a cup, hold me some young, put on my backpack, then I'm off to the bread. I eat these devils for breakfast, gotta be careful. Whole lot of blood being shed in the streets. Running so wicked, I weep for the living, I drop a free trip for the dead. All my white friends in my pocket, or either they loading onto this black card that I swipe. Say every time that I drop it, the verses be hitting more harder than problems of life. Rich, I collected 2 pennies from every person that willingly gave me advice. Being afraid can't exist in my spirit, I'm fearing no man but the Father in Christ. I put in work with the brothers, we stood on them corners from 10 to like 9 the same night, teaching our people the gospel, equipped with a camera, some posters, some speakers, and mic. Every time that I see mama, she telling me, son, you gotta walk in the light. Christ, the bread of heaven, keep feeding my spirit, and I wanna load, not a slide. When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers. When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers.
When I tell you I'm an Israelite, tribe of Judah, don't you take it personal. Plead the blood on these demons, we purging them. Don't entertain Jezebels, we be curving them. Ayy, I got a ribbon, she virtuous. In person, this blue life ain't virtual. I can't forget when I heard the truth. I got cut with that word, it got surgical. Conviction can lead to repentance. I pray these verses encourage you. We repented, now we on the vertical. Judah rising, see Isaiah 32. Big business, nothing minuscule. I picked up that pen back in middle school. Guard your light and take heed who you listen to. Watch your mouth and your ears and your vision too. Hashatan and Shao Kahn, he won't finish you. In Mortal Kombat, this war is not physical. Gird your loins up and follow the general. Christ. Messiah is coming, that's scriptural. Yeah. You gotta starve your flesh. The real war ain't even started yet. This look like a setup for a second exodus. I'm trying to be where the water at. Let's get it.
When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers. When I tell them I'm an Israelite, it's big business, not miniature. Serving same thing as minister. Kill the flesh, how to finish them. These commandments, they'll sustain you. I'm surrounded by these angels. I ain't worried, I'm protected from seen and unseen dangers.